Hi guys, this is Malio. Welcome to the first video of my second DCS World Graphics walkthrough series. In this second session I want to take you a little bit through the process of showing the different options, and let's start with the initial settings I used for this. We are still at Syria, 10 past 6 in the morning. There are 12 knots of wind at 33 feet. A little bit of fog in the lower ground, and the cloud setting is set to light rain 1. Let's get started. So the first options I'm changing is the anti-aliasing, and I'm changing from MSAA to DLAA. And as you can already see that things getting more blurry, especially the aircrafts and the buildings. But that's as expected, but you're also increasing performance from MSAA 4 times to DLAA from 97 to 107. So it depends on your system if you need this. Of course, if anti-aliasing is off, everything is getting much more performant, but as you see, everything is getting edgy. Next one, MSAA 2 times, it's actually quite okay. But if your system can perform using the 4 times, you should go for that one. The next option I will show is the DLSS. I think it's very good for old systems, but in point of quality, you will see even going to quality, it's looking not so nice. So it's already everything getting blurry, and as you see the dots here, have no shape at all. If you turn it off again, you see that here at least you see that it's an airplane, but when you switch it on, now unbalanced, it's just getting stupid because everything is rendered down to a dot, I think, and then scaled up again, and as a result you have these ugly shapes. So if you need the performance, go for it, but I would recommend from how it looks. The next option will be the sharpening. Sharpening can sometimes help a bit to look better, but in many cases it's just looking for me like an undoing of the anti-aliasing, so not very sure what the purpose is, but it has actually no effect on performance. The next option will be the textures, currently set to high as default. When I'm going to low, you see a lot of difference at the buildings. A fun fact is that not all buildings are affected by this in the same manner. So if you check this one and I'm going back to high, low, low, you see that these little buildings in the background are not affected that much, but this in the foreground. The medium getting a little bit better, and then of course high is nice. If you check the performance, you will see that you actually gain nearly nothing from 98, and even low and medium has the same performance, and high just losing 1 FPS, so it's a no-brainer. The next option then is the terrain texture, and there you see a lot of differences. First of all, you see the some of the structures which are disappearing, and the ground also gets a little loses a little of the details. And next, my favorite are the shadows. I'm now turning them off. Yes, it's not very nice to have no shadows, so I'm just switching directly to flat only because no shadows is just ridiculous. Flat only actually looks very good if you are under a cloud, and it has actually no difference to low, medium and high. Not in this situation. This will be part of another video to see the differences. Also the blur next blur flat shadows, also not very interesting. The secondary shadows also not, and the screen space shadows as well, not interesting. The next one will be the visible range. The default, I just spoiled it a little bit, is ultra. And if you set it to low, of course, you will see not that far, but you're getting a little bit of performance. So it's going from 97 to 118. Medium, high, and ultra, default, and extreme. The extreme, you can see it a little bit on the background. Here I'm going back now to ultra. And it's decreasing from 97 to 94 FPS. So I think in this situation it looks good, and the performance loss is not that big. Next one is also interesting. The clouds, now currently set to high, which I will overthink after this video. When I'm setting to low, it's losing a lot of details here. It looks at least different. And when I'm going to medium, it looks much better. And I'm nearly losing no performance. So it's going from low 100 and medium 99. The next one, high, actually I don't see so much difference. Medium and high. And going to ultra, I don't see any difference, which is relevant, but you're losing 4 FPS. Next one, water, of course, at this situation doesn't make any difference. The next one is very interesting. The screen space ambient occlusion will have a large effect on the city. Look at the city, and when I'm turning it on, you see that everything is getting a little bit darker and looks much more natural, but it costs a lot of performance. So it's now going from 97 down to 87. Switching back on. Oh, no, sorry. Going from low to high. But actually low and high looks for me exactly the same, but you lose again 6 FPS. And switching off. It's looking not so good actually. I like it very much, but it's very, very performance intense. The next one, screen space local reflections, of course, has not much effect here. Going over the lens effect, also not very interesting. The heat blur, not in my Huey. Depth of field, also not so interesting here. The canopy reflections could have been interesting, but I don't have them because I'm not in the sun. The volumetric lights also having no effect. Grass and clutter, not interesting, just switching over it. The forest visibility will have effect, though now the next one will be 0%. And it's like the visible range increasing, but it has not that hard effect on the performance, so I think it's always good to stay on the 100%. Also the forest details, if you're nearby a tree, it looks very much better when you stay at just 1 or at least 0.5, but it's also not affecting performance so much. So I think 1.0 is always fine. Scenery detail, I will also recommend leave it at 1. As you can see, it looks not good, and you gain very, very few performance. Here the chimney smoke density, of course, also not interesting. Level of detail multiplier also running through, you see no difference. The anisotropic filtering was a large surprise for me. You see actually not much differences. So when you go through off 2 times, 4 times, 8 times, 16, I don't see a difference, but you lose a little bit of performance. So I think my default, I will switch it to 2 times or even off. The terrain object shadows flat or standard. I switched to standard when I was doing my last series. You see much differences when you're near shadows. The cockpit global illumination, of course, makes sense because it's not losing performance and it looks much better. Rain droplets, if it doesn't rain, I recommend to set it to false because You lose 3 FPS, but you don't see anything when there is no rain. So that's actually it. I hope I could help you to find the best settings for your computer and your setup.